Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this afternoon edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this afternoon, so let's begin. But first, let's take a look at your COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know information. And here is a look at that information for all of you. There are 4,286 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 1,697,459 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 223 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 426 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 100,271 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire right here shows you where current cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 414. This map of New Hampshire shows you where total cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 1065. And now let's take a look at these three graphs here. Let's start with the first graph here, new cases each day in New Hampshire. In the purple, new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations. And in the red are the deaths. Let's take a look at this graph here. Current cases. Current COVID-19 cases in the purple and current hospitalizations in the orange. And let's take a look at this graph here. Total cases. In the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, total hospitalizations. In the red, deaths. In the blue, recovered. Let's take a look at this graph here. Age group of cases. Female and male of cases. And risk information. Let's take a look at this graph here. Race/ethnicity of cases, hospitalizations, deaths, and percent of New Hampshire population. And your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. 1 in 4 American workers have filed for unemployment benefits during the pandemic. More than 40 million Americans have filed for the first time unemployment benefits since the coronavirus pandemic forced the U.S. economy to shut down in March. Nearly 1 in 4 Americans has filed for unemployment insurance. Another 2.1 million people filed initially job loss claims last week, the Department of Labor reported Thursday morning. Groveton Speedway announces race season on hold because of COVID-19. Speedway held race last weekend with spectators despite warnings from state officials. Riverside Speedway and Adventure Park in Groveton has announced it will not hold race until further notice. Due to COVID-19, the 2020 racing season has been postponed until further notice, Speedway owner posted on their website. Cars are still allowed to practice, but those practices will not be open to the public, according to a Facebook post made by the Speedway. In a Facebook post, the owner said this will be in place until we get the okay to go back to racing. Last weekend, the racetrack defined the state's stay-at-home order and warnings from New Hampshire Attorney General and held a race with spectators. And take a look at this Facebook post from Riverside Speedway and Adventure Park. And if you want to read that Facebook post again, we will share this link with you on the Riley King Network Facebook page. Young's restaurant in Durham closing permanently. Owner to rent space. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9.
New Hampshire companies are stepping up and making a difference across the Granite State.
If you're looking for a more beautiful...
This isn't the way I wanted to go out.
Kenneth Young has made the emotional decision to close Young's restaurant in Durham, a place he's worked at since he can remember.
The restaurant has been here since 1916, actually, with two families, the Grants before us for 52 years, and it's amazing. Young's has had it for 52 years as well.
His dad bought the restaurant in 1968. It was then passed on to Kenneth in the 90s.
I'm going to miss what I do. And the passion that I did it with.
When cases of COVID-19 started to show up in New Hampshire, UNH closed and people weren't coming in to eat.
We were doing no business at all. I just couldn't see how we were going to run our full menu and keep things fresh.
He and his wife decided to temporarily close in March. Kenneth received a federal loan, but he didn't use it.
It wasn't worth it to me, so I turned it right back in, and within 3 days I turned it back in so that people that needed it could use it.
And then this month he made the tough decision to close for good.
The virus did force our hand to make a decision we really want to make in 3, 4, 5 years.
He's now going to be renting the space to people who will keep it as a restaurant.
I really hope that whoever takes over the space will surround themselves with the community and just get involved, and I think that's the most important thing, because that's what made us survive.
Ken says one of the hardest things through all of this is not being able to say goodbye to his staff and his customers who have walked through this door every single day, people who have been loyal for decades. Reporting in Durham, Christine Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Dow rises for a third day, gains 100 points as job loss claims signaled economic may be bottoming. Stocks rose for a third time this week on Thursday as the latest unemployment data signaled the worst of the economy damage from the coronavirus pandemic may be over. Extremely dangerous situation in Memphis as violent protests over George Floyd's death turned deadly. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News' Alex Perez.
Morning, Robin. Those protests started right here at the scene peacefully, but within hours turned very, very violent. Police in riot gear struggling to keep things under control. Smoke rising above Minneapolis, parts of the city on fire as a second night of protests turning deadly.
We're getting a lot of projectiles from the target line. Northeast corner, west side of Minneapolis.
Officers are quickly losing control of unruly protesters spilling out from the intersection where George Floyd was stopped by police on Monday.
Tonight was a different night of protesting than it was just the night before.
Officers say one man was shot and killed amid the growing chaos in the streets. Crowds descending on this shopping center, leaving multiple stores ransacked, looted, or even set ablaze. The mayor of Minneapolis now requesting assistance from the National Guard as he joins the police in pleading for calm.
People are there truly there to honor the memory of the decedent and the family, this isn't how you do it.
Outrage over the death of George Floyd leading to protests around the country. In Los Angeles, a human chain blocking traffic, swarming police cruisers and smashing in windows before the officers are able to break through the crowds and escape. And tensions mounting in Memphis as officers and protesters clashed. And this morning, details on the officers in that disturbing video. ABC News has confirmed the white police officer leaning on Floyd's neck is Derek Chauvin. According to a police watchdog group, Chauvin was among several officers investigated after a fatal shooting in 2006. A grand jury later declined to indict. Also in the video, Officer To Tao seen holding back the growing crowd. Records show he was part of an unreasonable use of force lawsuit that was settled out of court in 2017. After swiftly firing the 4 officers, the mayor of Minneapolis now calling for Chauvin to be arrested.
Why is the man who killed George Floyd not in jail? If you had done it, or I had done it, we would be behind bars right now. And I cannot come up with a good answer to that question.
Loved ones called Floyd a gentle giant. A former NBA player and close friend Steven Jackson says losing Floyd was like losing a family member.
Floyd is one of the strongest people you know. But to hear that scream and that cry for help in his voice,
and it's important to note the family of George Floyd, through their attorney, is pleading with protesters to remain peaceful. They say they do not want to see any more violence. Robin?
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this afternoon edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching this afternoon edition of the Riley King Newscast. I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. Goodbye, everyone.